welcome back to another episode of the Zero Empty Spaces podcast, episode number 36, with Boca Raton Innovation Campus resident artist Carol Lane, here from her beautiful studios at the Bric. If you didn't know about Zero Empty Spaces, myself, Evan Snow, and my business partner, Mr. Andrew Martineau, started an initiative as arts advocates, community builders, and creative entrepreneurs to activate vacant commercial real estate spaces to create affordable working artist studios so artists like her can have space to create and collaborate affordably outside of their homes. It provides a myriad of benefits for the community and win-win-win scenarios. To find out more, you can log on to www.zeroemptyspaces.com. But the point of the podcast is to connect you with the talented artists like her that make the program what it is, and you're going to get to find out a little bit more about Carol, her work, and her space ahead of the grand reopening reception for our 25th Affordable Working Artist Studio Space location, taking place next Thursday, January the 12th at 5 p.m., which we'll tell you a little bit more about later. But without much further ado, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself at a high level and who you are?
Thank you, Evan. First of all, I'm very excited to be here because I tried for years to get in and couldn't. I think I talked to you maybe about 7 years ago and have been waiting. So it's a very popular place to want to create. I grew up in Newport, Rhode Island. My son still lives there, so we go back not in the winter, but we go in the summer. And it was a wonderful place to grow up. My family is, I say this because they are super artists in so many ways. My dad was a concert pianist. My mom sang at Tanglewood with the Boston Pops.
Whoa.
She was very talented and played the piano. My aunt, her sister, was a very well-known watercolorist in Durham, North Carolina. She was at the time, she was the golf pro and tennis pro for the women's program. And of course I didn't play golf, so now I do. And she loved that. But my brother started after my aunt, and he is actually getting world-renowned watercolorist in the Boston area. He has been in many, many art shows. He's sold many, many paintings. He has a very distinct quality. So I have a lot of people to follow, so it's a little difficult. I took piano for 9 years. Can't play anything now. And I decided, well, why don't I try painting? So when I lived in D.C., I started watercolor at the Torpedo Factory, and I don't know if anybody knows about that, but it's a fabulous, fabulous place.
A much bigger Zero Empty Spaces.
Huge Zero Empty Spaces, and very similar. People are working and people are walking in, so it was a real eye-opener for me, and I loved it. Long story short, I worked for the federal government. I retired when I was 60 and started painting again after I had done it earlier. And this time with more vigor and more curiosity, so I've been trying different types of art, from abstract to realism and funky, and my brother says I'm okay. I find it hard to say I'm an artist, but I just enjoy myself so much, and I've really taken it on to become almost a business for me. So,
do you want it to be a business? Do you like it as an outlet?
I like it as an outlet, but I have sold a few. I've had friends that have hired me, consigned me to do paintings, and that's been really exciting for me because I never thought I had that kind of talent. But when you see other people appreciating a piece you've done, it's mind-blowing. So
it's a very interesting journey.
Yeah.
Did you feel pressure because your family was involved to pursue the arts? Or is it something that naturally unfolded and you just gravitated towards it?
I didn't feel pressure, although, as I said earlier, my aunt was a very, very well-known artist, watercolors, and she always tried to get me to paint, but I was too busy doing other things. So, and my job was with the federal government was very all-encompassing, so I didn't have a lot of extra time. But when I retired, that's when I said, I'm going to do this, I want to do this, not to keep up with anybody.
Fair enough. What'd you do for the federal government, if you could share?
I would. My whole career was in IT. I began by writing COBOL programs and some other languages, and then I got busy, this will tell my age, but I got busy putting in all the new PCs that were coming out that no one had ever used. So I was setting those up, and then I began to become certified in Microsoft and other things, and so I taught for 20-something years federal government workers how to use their computers, how to do Microsoft, how to put things together.
Wow.
PowerPoint, whatever. So then I came down here and started my own tutoring business and gave that up real quickly because it took up too much of my time.
Okay, fair enough. So you probably find this campus interesting
Oh,
for some of the history. If you didn't know, we're here at the Boca Raton Innovation Campus, the former IBM headquarters. This is actually the location where the PC apparently was invented.
yeah.
This is also the location where Control-Alt-Delete was invented. And they actually have a really cool, when you go out to the lake, they have a keyboard painted on the floor, and you can kind of like hopscotch on the Control-Alt-Delete. That's a kind of nice feature, and they have a lot of like mementos from the old IBM days of those initial computers. There's a lot of history here. If you've never been here before, you'll have an opportunity to come next Thursday, January the 12th, for the grand reopening reception of our 25th Zero Empty Spaces location. This is now our second at the Boca Raton Innovation Campus location. In the current iteration of our program, we take vacant commercial real estate spaces, generally retail. This is actually our first location in an office building, in an office campus. We activate them with affordable working artist studios, as we mentioned, so artists have the space to create and collaborate until they're leased, at which point we work to move artists to the next available location. And thankfully, CP Group, that owns and manages, in part owns and manages the bric, really believes in the arts, has art all throughout the building, and thankfully the city of Boca Raton, and most notably Commissioner Andrea Levina O'Rourke, really believes in the arts, and she was instrumental in initially helping us get started down the road at Boca Center, where we had 3 locations previously, where Crocker Partners was the property manager, and then after those locations got leased and now the property's at full capacity, Commissioner O'Rourke, God bless her, encouraged bric to have us come here, and here we are. So our first location, just down the hall next door, did get leased, and we moved just a couple feet over. So we're gonna celebrate this new space where we have 17 working artist studios, and you're more than welcome to join us for a free reception with bites, prosecco, wine, and all that on Thursday the 12th. So you'll be able to see this beautiful work here in person. But for those that are curious in the meantime, could you tell us at least about some of the works that we're seeing here, a little bit about your style, and a little bit about some of what you're currently producing and painting right now?
I have taken a lot of lessons all over, and one art instructor said I was a realist. And some of my works I'm very detailed, but I've tried to expand a little bit and get myself out there with a little bit of, I don't know if you can see behind me, but that's kind of a crazy piece, and abstract, and I'm trying different techniques like pouring and runny using water and letting it all drip down. And one thing I want to say about this place is that I have learned so much by being out of my bedroom painting and being here, being with all these other artists. It's such an enjoyment, and they help you. I've asked for critique, and it's very welcomed, and it's not mean. This is what I see, and do you agree? And so this has been just the most wonderful experience for me.
And I can see how your work has transformed from when I initially met you and discovered
Yes.
your work, and you reached out to even now. And it is a beautiful thing that there's 16 other artists
Yes.
here that you can, it's one thing when you say to your partner, hey honey, how does this look? Oh, it looks great, honey. But when you turn to another artist, obviously you can get real critique and feedback. One of the other things I forgot to mention that's worth mentioning with the bric and their support of the arts, this campus, architecturally, it's a Brutalist architecture, which is
Beautiful.
one of the few remaining, unfortunately, but beautiful. And then throughout the building, the bric is committed to supporting the arts. They have the Palm Beach Watercolor Society exhibitions ongoing. Lynn University has exhibitions ongoing. There's an NFT museum, and actually, most notably, outside of our door here, God bless Boca Raton Museum, I believe, provided these Dorothy Gillespie pieces, which are outstanding, and I'm sure hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it's a really creative, innovative campus, and we're really glad to be here and really glad to be supporting your practice. You mentioned, obviously, your family members that have been involved in the arts. You mentioned that you did take some classes. Are there any inspirations that come to mind that have influenced your work, other artists or other periods of art that have contributed to the work you're producing today?
Yes, but do you think I can remember? No. I have learned I go to the Norton often.
Okay.
I go to the Boca Museum often because there are some people there. I will say there is a woman, her name is Navalunda, I think. And I'm not really sure about that, but I've seen her work at RFC, which is the art decor place, but it's all artists. Navalunde, I think that's it. And I am so inspired to look at her things. She's more upbeat, modern, outside the box, and I'm trying to be that way.
Oh, you are that way. And actually, I'd like to take the camera, show them a little bit of your studio, and maybe show them a little bit about your process if you're open to that.
That's fine.
All right, let's do that.
Right now in my space, I've set it up so that I work over here in the corner where no one can see me. And I'm working on this bar scene because I saw this ad one day, and it was just, the girl was flirting with the guy, and I thought, I'm going to make this funny. So I have her hand grabbing his butt, and I've just come back to this. I started it a long time ago, and sometimes I get like, oh, I'm sick of this. I got to put it down. I got to do something else. So I'm back to that now, working on that. And as you can see, these are all my brushes. I keep everything here. And this is a great place. I put all my paints that are similar colors so that I can get at everything right away. I have a drawing table over here where I start my process by drawing out what I think I want to do, and maybe sometimes paint. But one of my latest works is this New York scene, because I have a friend that lives there, and she asked me to do something. I'm not sure she's going to like it, but I like it. So
I like it too.
She might enjoy that in her a condo there. And I recently finished the flamingo marching around with the headdress, and she's saying to herself, how do I look? And so I thought that was a little whimsical, which is what I'm trying to do. Just add a little whimsy to some of my paintings. Others are pretty much scenes that I've either seen or have pictures of or made up, like my snappers. I made that up. So I try to encompass If I see a picture I like, I add to it. And for instance, the mother taking her daughter to the beach, I added the whole cafe. I added an island out in the back. It was pretty nothing. And so I tried to make it more interesting. So
Very interesting.
that's my process.
So what do you like the most about having a studio outside of your house?
I've been in my bedroom for 12 years. I think my husband's sick of paint everywhere. I got even tired of the mess. It's a great bedroom because it has lots of light. That was the best part about it. But I'm so happy to be in my own studio that I could call my own and have my friends stop by.
So where can they find you on social media and the interwebs?
I have my own website called claneart.com, C-L-A-N-E, art.com. And I'm on Instagram at Clane, well, it's just Clane0513.
How about that? And you actually have a street, it looks like, named out. No, just
No, that's just my
just a
little
sign.
tricky sign.
Awesome. Well, we're very glad to have you here. We hope
Thank
you
you.
guys can join us Thursday, January the 12th, 2023 for the grand reopening of Carol's studio here. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Submit an application to our website. We'll keep you posted when we have new space available. ZeroEmptySpaces.com. And thanks for tuning in. Have a good day.